Okay, go ahead.
I take back everything I just said. Um, all right. So again, good evening, everybody. How many participants we got from the community tonight?
It looks like we got a whole 1, 2, 3.
All righty then. All right. So as we've discussed in the past, and I hold no punches, you guys know that at this point, based on some of the other meetings that we've had. I think our last meeting was what, December 5th?
Yeah.
All right. So within the Marlton community, December was a very bad month. I'll just be upfront and honest from the get-go. But with that being said, we had some progress and we had some success. So in the Marlton area, Marlton's, I'm going to be somewhat vague, and then we're going to go into some details here. In the Marlton area, we had a total, I think we reported, 8 vehicle thefts from the last report. And then throughout December, we had an additional 8 stolen vehicles with an additional 12 vandalisms. And the reason I bring up the vandalisms is each of the vandalisms included some form of ignition alteration, which could have been potential thefts. So I bring that as an awareness that there was an issue. But I'm also going to say this. On December 18th, we had 2 stolen vehicles that were recovered with 3 arrested. And in January, we also had some additional arrests. And the reason I bring that up is we had several different operations in place through December, January, which have led to some great results, which is what I want to express to the community. Between the community engagement unit, our community action team, as well as some specific overtime assignments that were designated specifically to Marlton, given some of the issues we were having, we were able to make the arrests. We were able to create the presence, which has had a tremendous impact on the results of where we sit today. So bad news, but good news, because as with these crimes, they sometimes will float from area to area to area. And we recognized it. We put some action steps in place. We addressed it. And we are where we are today with some good information, which I ultimately believe the community wants to hear. As of today, for the last 60 days, thereabouts, we've had 3 theft from autos. Actually, let me back up for a second here. The Marlton neighborhood, we had 3 stolen vehicles since the beginning of January. As compared to what I just explained to you, the 8 that we reported on December 5th, as well as the additional stolen vehicles we had through the month of December. So I think that's a tremendous step in the right direction. And then the vandalisms that we had for the last 60 days, nothing related to ignitions. They were kind of ancillary vandalisms. We had a Chevy Tahoe that had a rear window busted out. We had a Lexus with a sunroof that was shattered. And then one of the vandalisms was a glass patio door unrelated to any vehicles. So I think we've made some tremendous strides. I would like to stress to the community that theft from autos can still be an issue, but we've only had 2 in the last 60 days. One was a Honda Civic, and one was a Chevy product. And one was a tag that was stolen, and the other one was some coins. So I believe some coins taken out of the center console. So I bring all that up because we're not dealing with the Hyundais, the Kias, and the Infinities like we were in our last discussion and like we were towards the month of December. But it is still something I want to make the community aware that removing valuables from the vehicles, very, very important, because sometimes these are crimes of opportunity. So not leaving things visible, putting them in your trunks or removing them altogether is a tremendous benefit to the community, because listen, people are going to be out there trying to do bad things. And if we can limit the possibility of them doing those bad things, the better. So it's a partnership between us being visible, us being active, and then community doing their part, making sure they don't leave things in the vehicles to draw attention. As for the Osborne Shopping Center, we did have a breaking and entering that occurred at the CVS on March 3rd during the overnight hours. And then in the Marlton Shopping Center on the same night, we also had the I always mispronounce this, La Poblana, broken into on both. And both of those incidents are related to some other incidents further south in the Brandywine area. So it seemed like there was a group of individuals that were kind of just moving up the 301 corridor. But outside those two breaking and enterings over the last 60 days, things have been going really, really well. And again, I will tell you that based on prior events, that we've been able to get the attention and the dedication of personnel, which has been helpful on our side. Outside of that, things have been going pretty well. So unless the community has something of concern, I think we're moving in the right direction. And I also want to say this. I have expressed to my command staff, as well as other groups, that it's obvious that the more attention that we can give, the better deterrent that we can be. So I'm asking that we try to maintain that with the summer months right around the corner. The warmer weather is going to have more people out and about, and we will be monitoring and trying to dedicate the same level of service. One of the things that is hamstringing us a little bit, and again, I promised from the get-go, I'd be honest with you guys, is we are having a string of commercial issues. So some of the attention potentially is going to get diverted to those as we try to figure out how to address that. We have some overtime assignments coming up next week, as a matter of fact, where we're going to be working over the midnight hours, focused on the group of individuals that keep hitting some of the commercial properties. So some bad news at the beginning, but I think we made some great strides. Any feedback is open to the forum.
Well, I have a couple of questions.
Fire away.
You know how they have the big LED signs, the mobile signs the police department have, like when, you know, this area is being monitored or something to that. Is
Sure.
that something that we could possibly have in our community during the summer months? Because I expect to see an uptick in crime during the spring and summer. Something on Heathermore Boulevard, you know, that just simply is, I'm assuming it's a deterrent. Maybe it's not. So I guess I pose that question to you as well. Is it a deterrent for us to use that? And if so, can we get some type of signage?
It can be a deterrent. It can be. It just on. So the best way I can describe that is criminal activity. If the criminals are coming into the area, those signs are going to deliver one message, right? Us being visible and or not always visible but present is also an alternate deterrent. You mentioned that we've been having a lot of issues down in Brandywine, and if you go down to Brandywine, you're going to see those exact signs. They're out and about. They're letting people know, lock your vehicles. We've had some issues. Expect a police presence, right? Even with those signs up, we still had issues today. With shoplifters. That's been one of the biggest issues down in Brandywine right now is shoplifting, not so much to the community, but to the businesses. So we can put them up. I have to be able to explain why we want them. So it's almost like the crime has to be somewhat there to be able to justify why we're putting signs up. But I can try to navigate that and try to speak on behalf of the community to say, let's not wait until we have the issue. Let's get these up and try to deter it. So I will work on that. Duly noted. Does that answer your question?
That definitely answers my question and it's very much appreciated. You know, I don't want it to be a challenge to the criminal. So I'm like, that's the other spectrum, end of the spectrum is like, oh, I see this sign. Let me make this a challenge and make sure I don't see if I can get away without getting caught.
Well,
So, you know, I defer to you for the best judgment. If it's your presence, seen and unseen, is more of a deterrent than the signage, then we'll keep that course. But if there's any way to help prevent it from occurring, if those signs could have any deterrence in that way. As even like you said, informing the community, lock your valuables, lock your cars, type of thing. So the
and,
other
and there's
question, go ahead.
and there's other avenues that we can also try to express that importance, whether it's through sending an email out and awareness just to let them know that. Um, Everything helps, right?
Yeah.
Anything that we can do to dedicate some form of communication to the community as well as potentially to the individuals that are trying to commit the crimes, any deterrent is helpful. So I completely understand that, and I'm on board with that.
Do you guys have something like a flyer or something that we can put in our newsletter, to warn residents, to remind residents to lock their valuables? Because
Yeah,
our newsletter, I don't think it's gone out yet. So we have time to get it in the March newsletter and then we can republish it in the June newsletter as well.
we have information. I think it's just putting it in bold print just to remind them. But yes, I can pull that information together and I can get with Alexis to try to make sure that we get it included in whatever information you're passing out to the citizens, to the community.
Okay. And then you had talked about the the decrease in crime, but you guys were finding from December. And I just was curious as to what areas in Marlton did you see these crimes happening? Because I'm assuming it's not the Osborne shopping center, but these are at homes.
Well, let's focus on the Marlton community, then I'll come to the Osborne Shopping Center and to the Marlton Plaza. The stolen vehicles in December is all right. We met on December 5th, correct? Yes. So on 8900 block of Heathermore Boulevard, 8900 block of Simeon Court, 9000 block of Florin Way were stolen vehicles. Those were in December. As for January and February, the stolen vehicles were 9700 block of Shuttle Court, 9200 block of Fairhaven, and 8400 block of Old Colony Drive. So 3 through the months of January and February, 3 alone just in December. And those are kind of the areas in which those stolen vehicles have occurred. Again, I will preface that by December. I'm sorry. Is there a question?
No, someone is joining with their mic unmuted.
Yeah, on December 18th, we had an arrest out there. That there was 3 arrested with 2 stolen vehicles recovered, as well as a couple arrests in January. We believe those arrests potentially had a pretty significant impact on the activity in the area. And we're seeing those in the results. The one thing I don't want to stress, I just want to bring up, is during the month of December, we met on December 5th, so I reported on those 2 then, but on December 7th, 10th, 16th, 28th, 29th, 29th, 31st, we had a number of vandalisms that included the Hyundais and Kias, all Hyundais and Kias, and I'll categorize those as attempt stolens because in each one of those, the ignitions were damaged. Those have been but eliminated for January and February. None of those issues. So I think we've made some progress. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir, it does. And thank you very much. I want to say congratulations, but thank you very much. it's good to hear that the theft is and the vandalism has gone down.
And I got to be honest, it's not just us. What we did notice through those time frames, whether it be directly related to the associations or just coincidence, our calls for volume went up, meaning people were calling in identifying suspicious activity, people in the area, cars in the area they didn't recognize. So we want to still encourage that. But I think, as I mentioned in the last meeting we had, is the community needs to be willing to at least give us a name, and recognizing that, hey, they may not want someone to come to their front door, but hey, give us a call, right? Because that's important. Because if we've got to rely on additional information as to why we're in the area doing what we're doing, that's helpful. Because without potentially a victim, we don't have a crime. So having that connection is important. And we did notice a number of calls. So I think the message is getting out there, because I think it takes both parties to be a little bit more involved to get the success that we've had.
So one last question. I know that when we met for the trunk or treat, you was trying to get all of the homeowners association presidents in Marlton together, and I thought I heard that that meeting took place at least once.
It has not taken place. There are still a couple, and I do not have that exact note right in front of me. There are still a couple that I have not been successful in reaching. I am making progress with that, but we have not gotten to the finish line with that yet. I did have a new meeting last night, which was great, and I had a new meeting last month with another group. So we're still trying to do that. I did speak with Miss Graham with, I believe, the Brandywine Country, and Miss Perkinson. I'm still trying to get everybody together to have one community meeting, which would be helpful. As a side note, we also are looking to try to coordinate a community walk, whether that is independent to each association or as a group, just to get more people out and about. And we can do that formally, informally, can just simply be a walk. We can try to incorporate the community to do a 5K run, 5K walk type thing and make it a little bit more formal. We're open to that. And I will deal with Ms. Curling on how we try to format that. Does that answer that question?
Yes, sir. Sounds great. Thank you.
I'm trying to make that progress, because my goal is to get in contact with everybody. Each association has a different level of involvement with their community. So some are very active, some are somewhat limited. I did have a meeting with the Marlton Commission. So that was another meeting that we got to include. So we're making progress, slowly but surely.
Before I ask my question, anyone else have a question for Officer Webb?
I don't have a question. I just have something to hopefully you could add to add to what Regina was saying as far as the flyer. Could you add the non-emergency police number to that to that flyer, so that for people who see it, they will know who to call in case it's not a life or death emergency?
Yeah, absolutely. We can definitely include that. One of the questions I actually I had 4 community meetings last night, and one of the questions that came up from the community was, how do we tell the difference between calling the non-emergency and 911? And what I will say to that is, if there's that question, just call 911. Outside of that, if you're providing simple information and no one seems to be in danger or harm, there's a unoccupied vehicle that's been sitting for a couple of days, that obviously is not emergency. But if there's concerns of someone being in some physical harm, or there's an active crime being committed, call 911. But yes, we can get that information included.
Thank
Oh,
you.
One question. I didn't I don't recall the exact answer last night. When we see the people checking the doors on the cars, would that be a 911 or a non-emergency one when they're just checking the doors?
In my opinion,
Hmm.
that's 911, right? As long as that caller is willing to be at least someone that we can contact, to me, that's a 911 call. Because what we're trying to do is potentially eliminate that crime from occurring, correct? But and that's interesting because that question came up exactly yesterday. And the reason it's important to have that person's information who called is if we're coming to a specific area for a specific reason, we need to have those details. Okay. Because imagine us pulling into an area and it happens to be a juvenile. There may be a response from those parents of, why are you stopping my kids? It's because we received a phone call from a citizen. We're not going to divulge the individual's name, but being able to have the support of that call if needed, if it does end up to be something else, it's important to have that information, if that makes sense. So yes, I would make that a 911 call. You're concerned. They could be trying to steal the car. They could simply be trying to steal property from inside the car. And you never know where that's going to lead, right? So I would make that a 911 call. Did that answer the question?
Hey, did anybody else have anything for Corporal Webb before I ask my question?
You're loading up with a big one, aren't you?
You know what I'm going to ask about.
What you going to ask about?
So the drug dealing, the lifers drug dealing in the parking lot of Marlton in front of the liquor store. They're still there. The Crown Victoria car with the
You talking about the gold Grand Prix or the gold
yeah.
So those individuals have been stopped multiple times. They've been stopped. They've been stopped by the overtime units. One of those overtime units that works at shopping center is actually my sergeant, Sergeant Smith. And then you have Corporal Gordon that works the overtime unit over there as well in coordination with the property owner. Based on some past conversations, our CAT team, which is our community action team, has also stopped those individuals. And those stops are recorded. What I mean by recorded is a report is typically written because of the feedback we have received from the community members that there's concerns with drugs and guns, right? Neither of which have been found either on person or in the vehicles on multiple stops. So as of today, I can confidently tell you that we have not found either a gun or a drug on those individuals. It is still a concern to the community. I will express that to both the overtime units as well as the CAT team. Again, that's the community action team. And just to clarify, what they do is if we have specific issues in an area, they have the ability to dedicate resources to doing nothing but address that issue. They're not held to responding to calls for service. So I will alert them again. And or what I'll do is I'll talk to my sergeant again, who works the overtime for the property owner, and see if we are in a position to potentially ban them from the property. That's not totally our decision, because if they're not doing something, I know how it may look or perceive to the public and to the community, but that we have to kind of walk that line a little bit and get some support from the property owner. Does that make sense?
It does, but have you had an opportunity to get in touch with the owner? Because I know we've been trying, but I'm not sure whether or not that actually has occurred.
I know Corporal Gordon and Sergeant Smith have direct contact with them.
Okay.
They have direct contact. So, because they're the ones that authorize them to work the hours they work for that overtime. So I will specifically bring it up to my sergeant. And because if I remember correctly, it was a golden color. It wasn't a Crown Vic. I want to say
No, it's
Graham.
my pictures, but I mean, you know, but it's also Impala,
Correct.
also a sometimes it's a Hyundai, a Sonata, and then
Okay.
sometimes it's a Yukon.
Okay. I'm
Yukon.
not familiar with the Yukon, but I am familiar with the other vehicles. So I will bring that up again and see if we can get some attention on that.
Okay. But the signs, I just wanted to say that the signs do say no loitering. Remember you said that the signs had to say
Right.
no loitering for you to get rid of them? Okay, well, they do say that, just FYI.
They do. And I know that there's been multiple conversations with those individuals specifically. There's typically 3
Mhm,
together.
mhm.
And they've all been identified. We have their names, their date of birth. We've run them. There's no open warrants. I think we even identified where they work. So
Yeah, you said the graveyard.
yeah. So I think one or two of them work at the graveyard, and I forget where the other one works. So we've done somewhat of a due diligence, if you will, to verify who they are. But if it's a concern, we will bring it back up.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes.
Anybody else have anything for Corporal Webb before we release him? No? Okay. All right. Thank you so much. If you want to hang on and listen to the rest of it, you're more than welcome.
Well, my grandson in the background is getting very loud, so I'm hoping he's
Oh, no. You
not
go play with the babies.
so.
Definitely.
All right. But if anything comes up after I depart, you know the routine. Just shoot me an email, let me know, and we'll get it taken care of. Okay.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Have
Not
a wonderful
great.
weekend.
All right. Take care.
Okay. Thank you again, Corporal Webb. Okay. Next we have Paul Curling, and he's going to give us a little bit of information about Public Works and what's going on in our neighborhood.
Mhm. So good evening, everybody. I really don't have too much to report. There hasn't been a lot of action going on in the Marlton neighborhood too much. The only thing that some of you may have noticed is that there's been some work on Trumbull and in the shuttle court area. They are repairing the pond area, which has to deal with drainage. So they're trying to fix it up, clear some debris, restructure it, and just pretty much do some high maintenance on those areas, just so that there'll be uh, freer flow of the drainage of the rain and anything that could cause some kind of buildup and blockage in the sewage area. They're also still trying to fix some uprooted sidewalks throughout the Martin area. I'm sure some of you are still waiting for repairs of the sidewalk. So that is going to take some time. I talked to the guy in the construction department. He said some of those projects may take up to a year to repair. So hopefully some of those projects in this area will be done, hopefully by summer. So I'm still pushing for them to hurry up and try to get those fixed. Other than that, there's some utility issues going on with some streetlights. Some of them are not working. Pepco's not responding. If anybody's witnessing some streetlights that are not being repaired in a timely fashion, not getting a response from Pepco, please feel free to reach me out. Reach out to me and I'll try to see if I can get in contact with Pepco personally or somebody in my utility department who will try to get some of these streetlights back up and working.
Did anybody have any questions for Mr. Curling? Okay.
Yeah,
I saw
have
Lolo
one.
first. Go ahead, Lolo.
Yeah. I know you mentioned streetlights. They're not out, but if you go down Old Colony after dark, some of the lights are like a bluish purple. Some of the lights are white. Some of the lights are orange. It's kind of ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
We have like a multicolored street down there. And the blue lights are all different varying shades of blue.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know who I'm supposed to report to and be like, why?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I want to jump in there too. It's not even just the wide, because the blue lights do not illuminate a large area around it.
Exactly.
It's like, it just like, if you had an umbrella and just directly underneath the umbrella, that's all it's illuminating. It's not a wide radius. So those bulbs just need to be changed out, period.
okay. Send me the address and the block number, and I'll ask the lady in my utility department how come there's different voltage or whatever kind of fixture that they're utilizing to
It's
light
the
up
whole of Old Colony, the
all of
whole
it.
street,
Well,
The whole.
from North Marlton all the way up.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, there's a few at the end, close to North Marlton by the school is still in the yellow.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if
Have
they
they been
come
that way
down
for a
there at
while?
night, it's all of
Yeah,
that.
the whole street is different colors.
Has it
The
been
side
that way?
streets are all like
Mm-hmm.
white light, like, like the yellowish white. The
Mm-hmm.
side streets, well, one or two of them up there by the top still have blue lights down the side streets too, if I remember correctly, because I go up there every night. But like the whole of Old Colony, if you go down that road at night, it's all different colors of
And it's been that
blue
way for a
and
while?
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
since they put the lights in.
Okay. I'll definitely reach out to her and ask her what's the reasoning behind that. At one point, I know they were trying to transition or trying to change some of the fixtures and the wattages and some of the street lamps. I assume that's what it was, but it doesn't sound like that's what it is. So definitely ask her what's going on with that.
It
Cool,
actually
thanks.
seemed like they just used different bulbs or something. So
Right, but it's supposed to be consistent, obviously. So I don't know why it's not. So I'm definitely gonna have to find out what's the reason behind that. She probably doesn't know. It's probably something Pepco did. Not sure why. Sometimes they're not, doing what they're supposed to do, as some of you may already know. So I'll definitely inquire about that for you.
thank you.
Paul, I've got two questions. One, uh, my wife has called quite a few times about the light at the intersection of Old Burton Circle and Grand Haven, and that still has not been fixed.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll add that to my list. As you may know, excuse me, Pepco's in charge of maintenance, repairs, and all
Mhm.
things such as that. The county just installs the lamps, but if you're having issues with Pepco not changing the light or fixing it, I'll definitely see if I can. Not well, I definitely reach out to my people in the utility section to see if they can get a status on what the problem is. How long has the light been out?
Uh, I know months,
Couple
months.
months. Okay.
No,
You
no,
put in a
no, not,
ticket?
not, no, not a couple months. But more like about 6 months.
Okay. Did you put in a ticket to Pepco? Have you reached out to them?
My wife said yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my email in the chat.
Oh,
Just let me know the details of exactly where it's at, so I can then forward your message to the lady in my utility department. And
yeah, yeah.
figure out.
It's on the corner of Old Burton Circle and Grand Haven.
Okay.
Okay. And the other question is, do you know for what the reason was for the trees that they planted down Heathermore and Fairhaven and Trumbull?
Um, I personally don't know since the department I work in is a traffic safety division and the Office of Engineering and Project Management.
Hmm.
I believe the people who are in charge of planting trees is Department of Environment. If they're planting trees, it's just for it's an optics thing. They're trying to beautify. I forget the name of the program, but it's like a beautification of the county. I personally don't always agree with planting some trees in some areas because they can also become a burden on some people, especially when it comes to uh, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Not necessarily a burden, but sometimes they can create blind spots. The leaves and I mean, a lot of the residents have issues with the trees in the area, especially when there's too many of them. So I'm not too sure why they installed them, but I'm sure it's safe to say that it's a beautification process and part of that program that they're following. They'll probably install more trees. I can't say exactly where and when, but this is some kind of initiative that they've started last year.
Are
But
there those trees near wires, telephone
um,
wires, Mr. Wilson?
No, they uh you said the trees?
They're not near water.
Yes. You said the trees that they planted, are they
Yeah,
near
yeah.
telephone wires?
No. We
Oh,
don't
okay, because I'm like, we can
have-
create a problem for ourselves later on down the road if they're planting trees in front of telephone wires. That's why I was asking.
they're probably
no,
baby trees, so they're
we,
not going to be close
we've
to.
got underground wiring here in Marlton. We don't have wires on top of the ground anywhere in Marlton. And they're right on the edge of the road. And yeah, it's on the county portion of the of the
County right away.
it's on the county portion.
Okay, anybody else have any questions for Paul, Girling, and Public Works? No? Okie dokie. Thank you, Paul. Oh, am I muting? All right. So back to our agenda. We have, let me turn me back up. You can turn it down, Polly. For our agenda, back to the agenda. Yep. Oh, flash. Okay. So we done. Okay. So we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk about Spruce Up Malton dates. I just want to say that this is a perfect opportunity to get community hours for kids that are graduating and need the credit hour or community hours. Perfect opportunity to get them. And here are our dates. We have our first one's going to be in April 19th. And then May 17th. It's the third Saturday. It's third Saturday of each month between April and October. And the meetup information is on our website because my brain isn't, is it, unless somebody remembers out loud what the corner is. Paul, you remember what the corner is that we meet on these Saturdays? If not, I'll just post it.
I'll look for the information and put it in the chat, but I know it's in the corner across from Woods of Marlton Apartments.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the street. What is it? It's Marlton Center Drive. Marlton Center Drive and Heathermore. That's where we meet, right there in that little piece of, well, for now, the parking lot that's outside of the townhomes. And again, every third Saturday from April until October. And again, it'd be a perfect opportunity for kids to get their community hours. We provide the pickers, the vests, the gloves, the bags. We'll even provide water. You know, just reach out to us and let us know if that's something that you're interested in, and we'll support that effort. Okay, any questions about that before I move on? Nobody? Okay, thank you. All right. Yes, we need a secretary. We've been surviving without one for a while, and we would love to have one. Okay, yes, my Alexa has been the what do you call it?
Acting.
The acting secretary for the past 5 years. And she's been amazing, but she's in school and she's trying to wiggle out of that spot. So if you're interested in taking on what you see, it's not a whole lot. Please contact us. We'd love to have you. Thank you. Any questions about secretary? Okay, fine. What I got? Okay. Volunteering, we would love. Oh, go back because I need to talk about what they can volunteer for. Go back to the agenda. Thank you. All right. So MNA block party. This is Regina's thing. Which one was your thing? Was it the the trunk or treat?
I was the trunk or treat.
Okay, she's the trunk or treat. Anyway. So we've had block party. Do we have 3 or 2?
We've had 2.
Okay. So we've had 2 block parties and they were successful. We had them at the Marlton pool.
We will have them again this year.
Yes.
we-
Go ahead, Regina.
It's easy for everyone to remember because it's the second Saturday in August. We decided to keep a steady date so that way you know every year when to look for us and when to come out and volunteer to support the effort. So August the 9th is the date for this year's block party at the Marlton Pool. And they have been so gracious to let us know in advance that we will be able to use the facility. So we're hoping that we can start meeting regularly to plan out what activities and vendors that we would like to have this year. We are always looking for bigger and better than what we've done in the past. And so bring creative ideas as well. All is welcome. So I believe we will start meeting on the block party in the month of April, which will just give us April, May, June, July, 4 months before the actual event. We we have not decided on a date, but if I wanted to do something on the fly, I would say Thursday, the 17th of April looks good.
I like it. Okay. So
Um,
what? No.
yeah, I mean, the 10th is better.
Okay. 10. Let's do that.
April the 10th is better.
Okay.
And we'll have our first block party planning committee meeting via Zoom.
Okay. Sounds good. So we got that date in. So trunk or treat, we don't need to plan a whole lot in advance for that unless we're planning on doing something actually specially good other than trunks. We need trunks and decorated trunks, not just trunks, decorated trunks. And we had amazing last year. I mean, last year was so good. We had and Corporal Webb was there, and I forgot who he brought out. Oh, his name. I tell you, getting older just sucks. Can't remember the other guy, but was another officer there. It's on the tip of my tongue, can't remember. Anyway, so we had that and we had so many good decorated trunks. It was amazing. We had
And we had a lot of kids and some repeat kids because they came to the event the year before.
right.
And so this has gotten bigger and we want it even bigger than what it was this past year. So it's always on a Sunday.
Yes.
And right now it looks like it's going to be the Sunday before Halloween because Halloween is on a Friday.
Okay.
Like otherwise we'll be doing it in November. So October the 26th would
Right.
be this year's trunk or treat event. And so more information to follow. But again, we're also willing to take any ideas of creativity that we
Yes.
can employ. We have music out there. I know those of us that hand out candy have a really good time. So bring your decorated trunks, bring some candy.
And decorate
and
yourself.
you will run out of candy like
Yes.
we did this year. We ran out of candy.
Yes. Corporal Webb was saying that they were going to bring out because it was football game Sunday, and they were going to bring out the blow up TV monitor or what was it? I forget what they call it, but it was a blow up and have the football game playing while they were doing passing out candy. So that's an idea. I would think you would put scary movies on it for the kids, but it's whatever. But anyway, we want to make it bigger than we had, like Regina said, make it bigger than we had last time. We enjoyed it so much. And so enjoyed the kids and all of that. So yeah. So the 26th. Yeah, October 26th. That's the day. Okay, so volunteering, you can contact us at Marlton Neighborhood Alliance at gmail.com. If you have inquiries about the newsletter, it's marlton.newsletter@gmail.com. And of course, we have the website support web MNA at gmail.com for those. And that is it. Here's the part where we have questions. Anybody have any questions for MNA? Anything? Okay. What's up, Lo? Are you waving at me? Bye-bye. Okay. I'll talk to you. Okay, so we got that. Any no questions for us? No? Okay.
Our
I'm
next
getting-
meeting,
Oh, next meeting, that's right. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, June, I think I have a conflict now. I have a conflict with June the 12th.
Is it June as well?
Yeah, because
Alright.
the next week is June 19th, and that's Juneteenth. That's a
Oh,
holiday.
right. Yeah, we'll have to get on that. Okay, so okay, to be determined then. What we would decide. Okay. We know it's in June.
Yes, so
We got that part mapped out.
June 26th will be good.
26. Okay.
Yes.
June 26 it is.
All right, putting it in the calendar now.
Yep. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. This recording will be on our website. Just in case you missed something or want to go over something, it's there. It will be there on our website. And everybody have a good weekend.
Thank
See
you. Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You stop recording yet?
Not yet. Stop.